But without further ado, let me hand you over to Jenni, and she's going to be sharing with us. And then, of course, you can be asking questions. So you can put it in the chat or wait till the end if you like. So thanks, Jenni, for joining us, and over to you.
Thank you so much. I love our conversations on Friday and any conversations that we have, to be honest. And it's interesting when you talk about, we don't often showcase all the good work that we're doing and all the things we do. In addition to Elephant in the Room Consulting, I have a company called the Be Impact Collective. And so that business purely focuses on helping businesses, generally small businesses, become B Corp certified, which is actually one of the key aspect of being in business is how do I do social good and how do we prove that we're doing that to external people. So the B Corporation pieces are definitely one way of doing that. But before we start, one thing that you and I have been working on for a while on our podcast, on our bite-sized podcast, is actually doing our intros and making sure they're all schmick and making sure who we are. So I'm wondering whether or not we should start this kind of like we're doing a mini Friday session, and you could start by introducing you and the amazing work that you're doing, and then I can try and see how I go.
Yes, and did you just notice my message in the chat? I just went, ooh.
No, I didn't actually. There you go. I just thought we're talking about constantly evolving and constantly doing cool things. I was like, let's do like our pretend intro and just have a bit of fun. Yes, and I didn't see that, so there you go.
So we'll do our intros after.
Okay, cool.
But Jenni, do you mean our intro from our bite size?
No, just a version for this one. I just thought we'd have a play.
How lovely. So you go first.
So what we've been doing, and I guess the reason I'm doing this is because tonight we're talking about habits, right? We're talking about the things that we do and how we create habits that aren't painful and annoying for us, that actually become part of, every day. And the intros that Kylie and I do for our bite size, we've been playing with them for a while now, so to try and make it a habit for us, so that when we get online, we don't have to read it. It just becomes natural, and we just deliver what we're going to deliver. So that's why I thought it'd be kind of cool, because every opportunity that you have, like Kylie normally does, and going around doing all the intros and everyone gets their 30-second bite size or 30-second intro, part of that is actually providing you the habit and building the muscle so that you can just do your 30-second intro, your superpower statement, or your pitch at any possible time. It's the perfect example of creating a good habit. So we'll do it after and see how we go. So I decided I wasn't going to do a slide deck, and we don't really have slides, but I have got 5 slides. I'm doing this purely so that you know what I'm talking about when I go down a rabbit hole and end up in China. So this is just the way so we can focus, because I like a little bit of banter and let's go anywhere, right? So cool. Can you see where am I looking? This one. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Beautiful. Amazing. So today we're talking about the importance of habits as we learn, connect, laugh, network, and spread joy. I don't know why there's a question mark on that, but there shouldn't be, because it's like, are we doing this for real or not? So ignore the question mark. Clearly QA is not my forte. I'm Jenni Walke. I'm from Elephant in the Room Consulting. I've been in business for about 5.5 years. For those, I think most of the people on the call tonight, you probably know or seen me. Some of the new amazing team in Kylie's group, though, may not have seen me. But so let's just do a really quick intro. Again, this is part of building habit, right? This I do. It brings me so much joy to share this story. I've created it as a habit. So every time I talk to somebody, I share my story. So why do I share my story? So put in the chat while I'm doing this, put in the chat why you think I'm sharing this story as I share it with you. So it starts on the left-hand side with me, young, kind of doe-eyed, joining the Air Force straight out of university. It's my first job. I wasn't planning on joining the Air Force. I got offered the job to start. So I was doing my honors degree, and when someone's like, you're doing organizational change, you like people, I think you should join the Air Force. Not things that you would normally say would come together. So I joined the Air Force, and I was actually a security police officer. What I became, though, through that discussion was a process bunny. So I became very much system-oriented, very focused on structure, very focused on delivery and outcomes and producing the event, whether it's a security protocol, whether it was an audit of someone's facility, or in fact doing the events for major, heads of state and VIPs around Australia. And then I kept doing that. So I repeated. I went from the Air Force. I joined Commonwealth Games, World Masters Games, Apex. So very big process-oriented things. Getting the picture of who I was back then, right? Then in 2017, I threw the baby out with the bathwater and went, I don't want to do this anymore. I had an epiphany in the form of a massive breakdown and went, I don't want to be here anymore. This is not the place I want to play. So I found myself in Barcelona and I met this incredible woman, Lisa Nichols. At the time, I thought, oh my God, she is way too loud and way too big and way too everything for me. But then I got to know her and I realized what she had done is something very similar. She had actually gone through life doing the kind of standard jobs, but really struggling as a single mum in America. And then she learned how to coach. And then she learned how to share story. And then she learned how to teach people to present and stand on stage and present their story. And I went, I need to be around this woman. So I managed to go attend her workshop in Barcelona where we were basically her business mastermind. And I watched her do this and I went, that is who I am. That is who I want to be. Not Lisa Nichols. I want to be Jenni Walke. But I wanted to be doing what she did, sharing wisdom, sharing knowledge, learning every day and connecting with businesses to help them grow. And so fast forward a couple of years and that's me on the right then, sitting on my staircase. The full photo of that is me with that big pair of high heels next to me, but on the staircase without shoes. Why? Because I love facilitating barefoot or in Air Force Ones or Jordans because it needs to be me and not the person I left behind, which was beautiful 12-inch stiletto heels and platforms, which I loved, but now couldn't imagine wearing. So now I get to share my story. I get to share and connect with businesses, and I get to help them build strategy and create impact around foundations, their culture, around their processes and practices. And for small businesses, building confidence to help them grow and take the leap that I leaped. So I want to ask you, why did I share that story? Who would like to tell me? So we've got make it personal, connection. What else? Why else do you think?
Mine said because it's part of your building blocks of life.
Very much about my building blocks of life. 100%. What else?
Charmaine has heart-to-heart connection.
I love that heart-to-heart connection. Make it personal. So for those who are wondering, the reason I share that is because in that very short period of time, about 45 seconds, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a minute and a half, you can see where I've come from, where I'm now, but also the experience that allows me to have this conversation with you. So I've created the habit by sharing my story. I credentialize who I am. I told you I went to uni, doesn't matter what I did. I told you the types of jobs I worked in. I told you I started as a process bunny, and then I realized this is not where I want to play. And then I shared why I wanted to play somewhere different. So as someone who's listening to me, and this is, I guess, when Kylie and I first did superpower statements almost 2 years ago, it's around sharing who I am so that you now know when you're talking to me, why I'm allowed to sit in this chair and have this conversation with you. Yeah. That's a habit. What I've done is I've created my habit around sharing story as a way of credentializing. It doesn't matter who I'm with. I pretty much share a version of that story. I was in a workshop today with 20 plus large corporations for Supply Nation and Indigenous business, because I'm I'm an Aboriginal woman from Bundjalung country where Kylie is. And through this work, so through that work, I was sharing the fact that I started my company with $43 in my bank account. And this year we bought a house, massive change in 5 years. Again, why do we share that? Because then people can see our journey. And this is what habits in some respect are. So tonight we're talking about habits. So what are habits? Like, we think about this idea of a habit, and habits can be challenging, right? Habits can be, how do I do this? So put your hand up or put in the chat if you've ever tried to create a habit, but it didn't stick. Yep. And if there's anyone online who've managed to implement every habit they tried, I need to know you more, because I've never met anyone who's implemented every one of their habits all the time. And part of the challenge is that we create this habit or this idea of a habit, but it's somebody else telling us what we should do. We should relax. We should lose weight. We should eat better. We should drink more water. We should drink less wine. These are all habits that create our life every day. And my favorite definition of a habit is James Clear, who has a book called Atomic Habits. Amazing book. His definition is the small decisions you make and the actions you perform every day. So rather than thinking of a big habit as like, I need to create a new habit, today we're talking about how do you change the small decisions you make and the actions you perform every day. If you can do this thing, then you're creating better habits. Or rather than the word better, which is not my favorite term, we're creating habits that are more productive for you where you are in your life now. So if you've got a really stressful job and for you, a habit was, I just needed to go and hide in my room for an hour every afternoon before I spoke to my family because that's how I de-stressed. At the time, that's a habit that worked for you. But once you pass that stressful situation and once your circumstances changed, your habit may have been to come home and spend 30 minutes hanging in with your family before you had to go and do something else. But it was a decision and an action that I took or that you may have taken on that day because it served you at that time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So really what habits are the decisions that we make. It's not big stuff. It's not saying I need to create a habit around, moving more or making, eating better. Any of those things, any of those big things are the outcomes of good habits or positive and productive habits. It's not the habit. Eating better is the outcome of good habits. Being less stressed is the outcome of good habits. And this is why when we looked at this conversation, we said, how do we create joy and learn and live every day? It's through these good habits that we create. So the small decisions you make, and sorry, I've just got friends who've just dropped their kids off. The small decisions that you make and the actions you perform every day. So what I want you to do is put in the chat one action that you do every day that is productive for you and one action or decision that you make every day that is not productive for you. Does that make sense? That's what I want. One habit that is productive for you and one that is not. If I'm going to start, I know I love a glass of wine when I'm working at my desk. Is that productive for me? Maybe. Is it really good long-term? No. So it could be a bit of both. A really great habit that I do is that I go to gym every morning at 5 a.m. That's a good habit. It's a decision that I've made. So we've got a very shy bunch today. No one's putting anything in the chat, but that's all right. Yeah, your matrix, not productive. Yeah, don't stick to finishing time of work. Yes, never. That's all. You and I have a very similar habit there, Kylie. Very similar. So I want you to start thinking as we go through this idea of saying, what are the decisions that I'm making every day and the actions that are may or may not be linked to that, that's actually creating my life. So coffee. Oh, I start my day with a cup of coffee and sit down. Oh, I don't know if that's not productive. I do that. I come home from gym and I have 30 minutes. And instead of coming to my desk, which is what I used to do, I actually sit down outside by a beautiful pool, whether it's rain, hail, or shine, and I have a cup of tea for 30 minutes and do nothing. And it's a decision I make. And why? Because it sets my day. It gives me calm. So when you're looking at what's productive, why do you use it? So Janine, so tell me why you think you wrote that. So it was Vanamala, tell me why you think that's not productive.
I was in two minds with that, because on one hand, it's the short moment we have complete time just with me. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. No one is up yet, even the dog not. And that actually is this precious moment. But then, there's nothing specifically produced.
You don't have to produce something to be productive.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah.
You don't have to do something or produce something to be productive. That time in the morning, as you said, is precious. You get to sit there, and whether you realize it or not, you're creating the habit of setting intention for the day. You're creating the habit of giving yourself and starting the day with calm. So I would say starting the day with calm is incredibly productive. That's the outcome though, isn't it? That's not the habit. The habit is the cup of coffee at 5 a.m. on your own. I think that's beautiful.
Great.
So today's conversation is about reframing these things that you do and considering the impact that they have on your whole life, because it's the series of these small actions and decisions that we make every day that determines whether or not we're going to have this amazing life full of joy and laughter and connection and productivity, if you like. So Brenda, wake up early to finish off stuff. Is that a good habit or a negative habit for you? I don't know. You haven't said productive or not productive. Friends not sure? Productive, not productive? Ashley, priming on a morning and exercise. Beautiful. Productive habit. Start with breakfast, Candy Crush time. So maybe we just need to have Candy Crush for 20 minutes and not 4 hours. I get that. I've done that. I've been down that rabbit hole. I've come home and been like, I'm just going to sit here playing. I play Gardenscapes. It's my thing sometimes. That's okay, right? So does this make sense? Your life today is essentially the sum of all these habits and decisions that you've made. It shapes who you are, it shapes how you show up, and it shapes what you do. And so all these things are the result of the small actions. I'm going to keep repeating this, the small decisions and the actions that you take every day. So as we go through, I want you to start thinking about the actions. What is the things that you repeat? So the first thing that we do is when we're trying to create a habit, or if we rephrase that, we're trying to look at the actions we take and make sure that they're working for us and the decisions are working for us and haven't become and imposed on other people. So the first thing about creating really positive habits and decisions and actions every day is that it creates calm through consistency. And what I mean by that is if you're doing the same thing over again and you create this routine and it's working for you, coffee at 5 a.m., I go to gym, I come and spend 30 minutes of just nothing, play with the dogs maybe, but I don't do anything work. I have no intention to do anything. I just need to sit and have that moment of calm, whether it's priming with your exercise. When you provide this consistent habit and do this over and over and over again, these small sum of actions create your whole life. And just like willpower, for example, and having the will and the motivation to do stuff, if we focus on that, then it feels like, oh, it's so hard. How do I get motivation? How do I get my willpower? Don't even worry about those things. Just say, what is the thing that I'm going to do consistently? And when you are consistent, it's certainty for your brain. It's certainty for your physical being. So when we're creating consistency, it actually creates calm. And because it becomes a habit when we stop thinking about having to do it, we just do it. So being able to do it without thinking and having to plan it or even just worrying about it, it creates this level of calm through this consistent habit or action or decision that we make. So this is the first thing. Yeah, Ashley, you do primary and exercise. So yes, she does, Ash, that Brenda has been doing that. So this idea of when we look at habits, rather than having a habit conversation, say, how do I create better habits? Ask yourself, what are the decisions that I'm making that is influencing my day in a negative way? What can I do to be productive? What can I do to inform and set my right intention for the day? So the second thing when we're talking about habit is that you imagine that now habits create joy. You're like, really? Because habits are also brushing my teeth. Habits is also eating the same food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you're on a particular meal plan. They're all habits. So how do they create joy? And the answer to this is because when you create habits, and remember habits are the small decisions and actions we take every day that are working for us and helping us move toward our goals and toward the outcome that we want to see, whether that's better health, better well-being, successful business, more clients, better time with you, or more time with your family, a better relationship with your children, whatever that habit is you're doing, that decision or action you're taking, the outcome is fundamental joy. And when I shared my story earlier, I hope you saw that. When I decided that I no longer wanted to follow this path and follow this habit of big events on a cycle, power dress, power suit, always in charge, always running from here to there, probably still do that a bit, but always doing these things for someone else's purpose. And when I stopped and went, no, it's not me anymore. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? I want to get up and I want to talk to businesses every day and watch them grow. I want to be able to change people's lives and create impact in a positive way. So I built a business around doing that. And to build a business, we create small actions and decisions every day. And so fundamentally, I create my own joy through these decisions and habits that I make. So not only are we getting a calm and consistent approach to life, we're doing it in a joyful and happy way. We're doing it for ourselves and not decisions imposed on us by other people. So regardless of what you're trying to achieve. So I want you to sit down and think, what is an outcome that you want? I want you to write down on a piece of paper or on your iPad or wherever you're playing. What is the outcome that you want? I want you to tell me why it will bring, I want you to write down why it will bring you joy. So I'm going to type this in the chat. What is the outcome you want? What is the joy that it will bring? And what one thing, i.e. decision or action, will move you toward it. I didn't say will make you reach it. I said will move you toward it. So what is the outcome that you want? What joy will it bring you? And what is one thing that will move you toward it? Now imagine you do that one thing every day. And as you do that one thing, you think of the joy that it's going to bring you when you reach your outcome. Your habit creates joy. So I'm going to like some feedback. How is that landing for you guys in terms of habits and actions? Someone would like to share in the chat or welcome to have a talk. Well, very quiet bunch today.
I'll share. I just was waiting for someone else to share first.
That's okay. You go first and then we'll see who else has shown up.
The outcome I want is that I want to bike ride every day. And why it will bring me joy is because it means that I will finish work on time because I do it in the evening. It makes sure that I connect with my family because we do it together and I get fresh air. And what will move me toward it? Scheduling it.
So the habit of scheduling a bike ride with the family or the bike ride. So it's not just a bike ride, be specific. The outcome is I want a bike ride with my family.
So what happens now is that if I manage to finish in time, then I join them when they go. If often I come in and they've already got back from their bike ride.
And how do you feel when they've left without you?
So disappointed.
So if we change it from being something arm's length and something that has no emotional connection and the outcome, so what you're trying to do, the outcome you want is actually to spend time with your family. That's actually, you're just doing it through bike riding.
Yes. And what's been a sad realization lately is that I'll say, why didn't you tell me you were going? You could have at least just let me know. And the Clover will say, because we knew you would be too busy. I was like, no.
So not having that habit is not creating joy. But if we flicked it and said, I actually really want to spend time with my family, and I do that through bike riding, and to do that, I need to finish on time, and to finish on time, I need to really schedule it, because if it's scheduled, it gets done.
Yes.
But if you just said, I'm going to go bike riding, how often will we go bike riding? Once a week?
I think 2 or 3 times a week at the moment.
Yeah.
But they go 7 days a week.
Exactly. So Charmaine, you've said be more strategic will help you be more focused. What do you mean by strategic? That's an interesting outcome.
I think for me, like I would normally write in my diary, my plan for the week and what I would have. I've got different things, probably about 4 different ways of actually doing posts and, or doing that. But it's, I think, to move on to the next thing in my business, because I've always basically just taught classes, and, I love that. And suddenly I've got to run a business and do that. So
what's the outcome you want? So this is the challenge. Do you mind if I give you some feedback on your habit creation?
Yes, please.
So what you've done is told me all the challenges that stop you doing something. And this is what happens when we create habits. We think about all the things that are derailing us, and we're not actually thinking about the simple outcome. So what's the outcome, the simple outcome? So imagine a strategy of being strategic. What does that mean to you?
I think knowing what to do when.
And what does that mean to you?
That I would actually move point in business.
So what does that mean?
Probably at the end of the day, more income, more people.
So the outcome that you want is a more successful business that gives you more revenue.
Yes.
So if the outcome is more revenue, what joy will that give you if your business is generating more revenue? What is the joy that will bring you?
I think contributing to my family and taking pressure off my husband.
Okay. So reducing pressure and being more and being available for your family. And so what is one thing and decision that you can do today that if you repeat it every single day would allow you to get increased revenue?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
I think I'll have to say, well, teach more classes, get new people,
So let's bring that. So if you say teach more classes, then how do you, so this is how we connect. And I love this example because it basically says you need Kylie, because this is the example I always use, right? If I want to have more revenue, I need to increase my clients. If I have to increase my clients, then I have to find a way to find people and connect with those clients, which means I need to build a strong sales process or a strong marketing and promotions process that allow people to find me and connect with me. And so what I need to do is one social media post a day. And if I did that every day on repeat or more than one times a day, I will get more revenue. So see how the habit isn't planning better, organizing better, all that stuff. The habit isn't growing your business. The habit isn't teaching more classes. The habit is the decision, the small decision and action that you take every day that will enable the outcome to be achieved.
Yes.
So we think of social media. We think of you just getting up every morning and feeling joyful about what you do. Well, that habit alone, right, will make you want to do more promotion and want to connect with more people and deliver more classes and build more revenue because of the joy that you know that it brings.
Yes. And it does give me great joy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you see how that works?
Yes.
So this is about habits. When we talk about big habits, we cannot sustain them because there's no actual connection in our brain to what we're actually trying to achieve. It sounds logical when we say it out loud, but the reality is there's no actual physical connection to achieving the goal or the outcome of what you're looking at. So when we go, my habit is I'm going to get up every day and do X, because as I do that, I know it's moving me toward, it's not getting me today, but it's moving me toward the outcome because nothing comes quickly.
Yes.
Overnight successes have been in their garage for 10 years before someone discovers them, right? Even look at Boost Juice. She was making smoothies in her kitchen before Boost Juice became Boost Juice. But what was her habit? She made juice every day. Because the juice brought her joy because she could see the business would follow. Yeah. But thank you for sharing. So Vanamala, I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Vanamala,
yeah.
Thank you. Less stress to get business. Do what you love, which is teaching, and simplify my marketing. You'll get help. So what does simplify your marketing help? What is the small decision or action that's going to allow you to simplify your marketing?
Right now, I have a total blind spot there.
So that's what I want you to have a think about. We're going to come back to you as we go through, right? Mm-hmm. What is the thing that you need to simplify your marketing? So what does that mean to you? What does simplifying your marketing actually mean? Sounds like
spend less time on it, and I ultimately don't need to spend so much time to make it, because sometimes I found it even very creative and interesting, but it takes so much time of my day that I feel I'm using energy which I could use with just, enjoying teaching or something.
So the focus is actually not on your marketing. The focus is what is the habit that will enable you to actually build those outcomes without focusing on the marketing. So the habit might be scheduling only 5 minutes a day and sticking to 5 minutes a day. So if you stuck to 5 minutes a day of what your marketing looks like, follow Kylie's plans and you can do it in 10 minutes. Trust me, 5 or 10 minutes, because you set up all the systems and have it set up ready to go. And then you just do it 5-10 minutes a day and boom, you get visible. It's literally the process. Sounds so simple. But this idea of saying, when we focus on simplifying your marketing, your brain goes to mush. You know why your brain goes to mush? Because nobody knows what that means. You don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Simplifying to me means something different to somebody else. Simplify my marketing means I'll just get my amazing Macy and Kelsey to do it. I get Kylie to do it. That's simplify my marketing. So, but that's not a habit.
Yes.
So it's not the marketing. So when you're focusing on the challenge, I want you to focus on something that's going to help you move towards your outcome, which is less stress in your business. So to me, it sounds like scheduling. If you had a habit of scheduling every day, you would reduce stress because it creates calm, because consistency creates calm. So if you scheduled and you knew what you were doing without having to worry about it, you'd make it streamlined and you'd simplify it. And if you just followed those schedules every day, you will teach more and you'll get more revenue and you'll have less stress in your business.
Okay.
You're like, I don't believe
I schedule,
it.
for example, every morning, let's say, do my post at 7:30, right? Like, but it actually starts ruling my day. Like, I have to be back at that point to do that.
And that's why you're letting the action rule your day and not the schedule rule your day. If your schedule says 10 minutes and you've only got 10 minutes, then you only spend 10 minutes.
Okay.
That's the trick. That's the trick with scheduling. Kylie and I work the same. Our diary rules our life. Unless it gets to the end of the day and we just keep working till midnight and go, shit, I forgot that bike ride. Sorry, excuse me. I forgot the bike ride, right? But it's the habits, it's the decision. It's not the big thing. It's the small decision. So you've decided to let it overwhelm you.
Yeah.
So the decision is, it's not going to overwhelm me. I'm going to do it 10 minutes and I'm done. And I'm going to do that consistently. And by doing that consistently, my habit will create my business and create joy. Okay. I know it seems very abstract because for people, we're all used to thinking big, thinking complex. We're humans. We complicate everything. That's our superpower, right? So the next thing, and this is where the trick is, wrong way. Helps if I go the right direction. And this is the final piece. So these are 3 very simple steps, right? The more consistent that you are in the habit or the action that you take and the decision that you make, you create calm. Because I'm no longer overwhelmed or worried about what it is. It's the same thing every day. It moves from being a conscious decision to an unconscious decision to a subconscious decision. It just happens. The same way people get addicted to their phone. They don't even think about it. Next minute, they know their phone's in their hand. That's not because they've thought about it. It's just become a habit to have my phone in my hand. Sometimes people don't even use the phone, but I just need to have it in my hand. I need to know where it is. That's a habit. But what we want to think of, and this is particularly relating to the marketing piece, it's from these little things that big things grow. And in the context of, the conversations we've been having here tonight and looking at technology, imagine the consistency. You get consistency every day through a social media post, through posting once every day, to posting twice a day, to posting 3 times a day, or actually creating content that gets auto scheduled through a setup system or through a social media manager like Kylie, right? Who supports you do that. It's incredible how quickly the little gains lead to big gains. So it's this notion of 1%. So if you had 1 cent every day and you kept putting 1 cent on top of that 1 cent and compounded it, it doesn't feel like very much. But if you banked that and consistently did that, it adds up very, very quickly. It's the compound effect, right? So when you start to do these 1% increases, so 1% increase, and then 1% increase, and then 1% increase, all of a sudden, you're performing at 5, 20, 30% more effectively and more efficiently than you were at the start by making 1% changes. So rather than trying to do big, amazing things from the beginning, like I'm going to eat better today. That lasts how long? Ash knows this. She's a wellness and health coach. So I say to someone, I'm going to change my diet today. Tomorrow, I'm back with my bad habits because I thought too big. But if I started by saying, I'm going to have a juice for breakfast every morning, I'm just going to start with a juice. And then I get used to doing that. And I don't think about my juice anymore. It just happens every day. And then I'm going to say, you know what, I'm not going to have that snack in the morning, and I'm going to swap it for something else because I feel so good after my juice. And then I have the habit of my piece of chocolate, and then I don't feel so good. So I'm going to change that piece in the morning to something different. So when you make these little habits over time, it compounds. So rather than trying to do something amazing from the beginning, start with a small decision and a small action every day and keep making small decisions and small actions repeatedly. So you start with 1 and then 2 and then 5 and then 10. And next minute, you know, your day is full of positive actions and good decisions that are moving you toward your goal. Yeah, so Ashley's going, plan and pre-recorded lives and ads and posts gives you joy because you're organizing and something that you don't like doing. It's perfect. So how you do it? Plan. Perfect. Follow your diary. It's the same advice that you would give someone who wants to improve their health and well-being. We start with small steps and then we build on it. So these are 3 very simple things and how we go from habits that you're like, what am I doing? How do I create this? What is a habit? I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm going to flick back to the start and we're just going to go through them again, right? The small decisions you make and actions you make every day. Create calm through the consistency. Be consistent about your decisions. Find a decision that works positively for you and repeat it. If you realize it's not bringing you toward your goal, change the decision, change the action. Keep resetting. As you do this, your habits will move you toward your goal, and your goal creates the joy for you. Your outcome is your joy. So each of these small habits that you take actually build that joy and build the positive environment that's going to foster the outcome that you're looking for. And then lastly, do this repeatedly over time, starting with small habits. And very soon, these small connection of activities become large things. I schedule my posts every day, and suddenly I schedule 1 post. Then I schedule 3, and next minute I know I have 45 posts going out a week. But if I started with 45 posts, none of you would have done it. But if we start with 1 or 2, 3 or 4, 10 minutes leads to an hour, and all of a sudden we've scheduled and we're done and we're calm and we know we're getting engagement. We know we're getting people coming to us. We know we're visible and we're building our business because those little things, big, amazing things grow. So there are my very simple 3 little tips on how you can actually create habits and how to connect habits into your day-to-day activities without getting overwhelmed by them. Because the biggest thing that we have as a business coach, and Kylie and I have this conversation all the time about our clients, is that overwhelm. It feels so big and so heavy, and there's so much mess around. So these ideas of making the right decisions and small decisions for your business is about giving you calm, giving you clarity, and helping you focus on what you're trying to achieve and not the noise that often gets thrown at us through everything else in our life. I hope that's been valuable or worthwhile for you. I've got a question slide, but also if anyone wants to have a chat to me, you can book a call if you'd like. This is just one of our 30-minute kind of chats to talk about stuff. Happy to work through. I know, Janine, you've talked about working day shift rather than night shift. Definitely. So having a nightly routine to get to bed earlier, that's so important. So thinking about what are the small activities that's going to help you build that nightly routine. I love that. Awesome. And we've got simplified. So I think that's all the people have shared. Thank you so much for sharing.